In another recording, we talked about configuring an app service plan. Inside of the app service plan, we built an app service. And in the example I drew there was a web app in which you could then run your code itself. We're going to start to focus in on that web app specifically, on how to create an application settings, some of the configuration values that have around those deployment slot features we talked about. And we're going to take a look at other characteristics of network connection settings to maybe SQL databases, certificates that might be needed as you move through the various stages themselves. So let's get into this content. We want to be able to manage at a micro level an application that has been developed. And so I want to go off again to a whiteboard and talk about why the scenario is there and what this service capability of an app service plan and an app service running inside of that is going to provide for you. So let's go to a whiteboard and talk about some of these concepts. So just to reiterate what we talked about in another recording was your application might exist in some repo. That's in the upper left-hand corner, in whether it be an Azure repo or whether it be in GitHub. And then you create this thing called an app service plan, which was a unit of compute that was regionally based. And inside of that, you could then create an app service inside of your app service plan. Again, I apologize, I didn't come up with the naming convention. Inside of that web app, in this case, you have function apps and logic apps. I'll be showing you some of these, as well as other types of apps that could then run inside of your app service plan, giving them access to the features, things like deployment slots, and the resources of compute, memory, and storage that you had available. And then you would take your code and run them in that web app itself. What we're going to be focusing on is the ability to control that app and different settings as you move through a deployment cycle in a CI/CD model. Just to build this story up, and we're going to be using this throughout all of the recordings, so you may see this several times, but I could have built this application as a monolithic application. It's still the same application, but now what it would be done is the entirety of all of those pieces. And in these examples, I'm going to talk about that top line, often referred to as the system of engagement or the front end, is represented by the red triangles, green triangles, and blue triangles. That's your front end facing end user interactions to your application. The middle line, represented by a series of circles, the red circle, green circle, blue circle, becomes that business tier or middle tier. And then we have our back end represented by the squares, red square, green square, blue square. We'll be building these all out throughout all of these recordings. As we build in new features of different capabilities throughout this course, we'll show you where it fits in. But applications running an app service plan could be monolithic, and you could have built them the entirety. And I gave the example of Exchange being 30 gigabytes. The entirety of that application got deployed. But by moving to the same application being designed in a different way, now as microservices, each individual feature within the monolithic app now represents a standalone application. So I don't need to have these monolithic resource allocations. This is where the app service plan becomes highly utilized, because now I can tailor the resource requirements to that application. So for example, red triangle is just an HTTP page that you now have that user is going to be able to gain access to. It doesn't need a lot of compute. Maybe it just needs some memory to display all the images. And so it can now scale depending on the needs of your web app itself. So maybe your application or one of the products that you sell appears on some celebrity's favorite list at Christmas, and now all of a sudden you get millions of users coming to your website. I don't need to scale the entirety of my application, especially those back-end pieces, things like SQL servers that are usually fairly resource intensive. I just have to scale my application at the front end to meet that huge demand that you're working with. We're now going to take this example, and I'm going to break it away from this story that I'm going to continue to tell throughout this class. And I want to take a look at application design in a microservice model. And we're going to take a look at this feature called deployment slots. If you take a look at a traditional application environment, you might have dev and test, quality assurance, staging, and production. You might have more or fewer, it just depends, but these are the 5 I'm going to work with. And if you go back, and I'm going to show this to you when we do the demonstration in the graphical interface, remember we had either no deployment slots, 5, imagine how that number matches here, or you had 20 or deployment slots you could work with. And you'll see when I get to that section, I'll talk about where those 20 might come in a model like I've got right here. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to draw those applications that we were just taking a look at. So I've got red triangle being my front end website that I have. And I'm going to take a look at the different versions. So in production, because it's a front end website, maybe gets changed on a regular basis, I might be running version 21 in production. I've got version 22 ready to go in staging. I got version 23 being developed in QA, version 24 in test, and I'm working on V25 in development. So this is the multiple stages, that red triangle, that front end website. Maybe I'm going to change some graphic images. That's V22 moving into V21, getting ready. You know, at the time I'm recording this, we're changing seasons from maybe Halloween to Christmas, or from Christmas to the new year. You've got a sales that are coming up. You wanted to deploy that new front end website. So V22 is going to move into production. Maybe you've got a new search feature that's coming out being represented by V23. So you're moving this through your development cycle, or that CI/CD pipeline. As you move through this structure, for example, V25 in its development stage might be connecting to a development database. It may be using certificates or identities to connect to that development database. And tell me if this has ever happened to you. As you move from, it's now V25, it's ready to go into test, you move it over to test, and if someone didn't change the configuration to point to the test database, it's now running in test, but it fails because it's trying to gain access to maybe a network protected database that was back in dev. So wouldn't it be nice if, as we automate this entire process, wouldn't it be nice that we could pass variable values into the life cycle of my applications we're going along? That's kind of the concept we're taking a look at here. So I'm going to go into the graphical interface. I'm going to show you the creation of a web app specifically. We're going to add it to an app service plan. And then we're going to take a look at these characteristics that you can add to the web app in this case, to take a look at these configuration values that you could pass into it as it moves through these possible deployment slots themselves. I'm back in the Azure portal, and we can see that I have function apps, and we'll be covering this in a future recording, as well as web apps and other resources. I'm going to come in and I want to create a web app. I'm going to create it in my AZ-204 resource group. Now, I mentioned in another recording that you could create an app service plan at the same time that you create the web app that's going to live in it, or the function app that's going to live in it. Or you can add it to an existing one. So I'm going to demonstrate both of those to you right now. Now, the app service plan was that regionally based unit of compute resources that you would access the apps inside of it. The apps are what's actually being accessed, and you're seeing that it's coming up with a URL that is publicly available. It's going to be appended with a name that you create to azurewebsites.net. So these names typically have to be anonymized to a point where they're unique across all of Azure. Now, you can use DNS CNAME resolution to take this convoluted name that you might create to create this uniqueness and make it more usable for your users or your developers to make connections to this. But know that the name I'm going to have to create has to be globally unique to some point. We've added a feature here that would allow for that creation of a unique ID on a global basis. I want to also talk about these features here. We talked about the ability to deploy currently supported versions. I mentioned in a previous recording that the Windows and Linux underlying operating systems that we have available for our app service plans are running currently supported versions of those platforms. And so, usually they are not the limiting feature. It's usually the runtime that they support that becomes a limiting feature, but know that they have that limited requirement of only currently supported versions. And you'll see the same thing with the code capabilities. I'm going to come into my Contoso name structure here. So you've seen the name that it's adding to it. I can select, do I want to run code or in a container? I'm going to cover that container radio button in a future recording. And you'll see the runtimes that are available for the web app running in the app service plan. We have .NET, all the currently supported versions, ASP.NET, we've got Java, We've got Node, PHP, Python. All of these are the environments that you could have for your code to run in depending on what you're working with. Now, in a future lesson, I'm going to get more into these versions and what they are. And this is where people often say, Bob, I can't use an app service plan in a web app. Love to use it, but maybe I'm using ASP.NET 2. Something or other. And you don't support that. Well, this is where I would encourage you to just give it a try. Microsoft follows a very specific numbering sequence, what is called SEMVer, and I'll describe that in another recording. But know that your application, even though it was written for ASP.NET 2, may still run, and I'll explain that again in a future recording. So try it. Just because your application isn't in one of these supported runtimes doesn't mean that it may not work, or the fix might be very simple just to bring it up into the currently supported versions that you're working with. Now you'll notice that some of these run on, for example, .NET can run on either a Windows or Linux platform, or if I get into the ASP.NET, they only run on the Windows platform, and there's some that only run on Linux. So I'm going to pick, in this case, .NET. I can pick the platform that I want, and then the region that I want this to run to. Because remember, the web app in this case has to run in an app service plan, which is a regionally based service. Now I'm going to come to West US 2. And here I have the app service plan that I want that web app to exist in. Now I could create the web app at this time, or you'll see that it's going to have the option for me to use an app service plan that was previously created. So it found one because it's deployed into the same environment in which that region had an app service plan that I could potentially assign it to, or I could create a new one and it would then just walk me through. I'll just call it new app service plan. And it would give me those options of picking which price plan did I want to go. Remember, we explored this in a previous recording, picking the hardware requirements from CPU and then the features for deployment slots. Pick one of these. Now it's inside of the app service, running inside of the app service plan, that I now have all these configuration values that I was just talking about in the course. I can connect to a database connection. I have deployments that I'm working with. I'm going to show you those deployment slots, the networking services that I want to work with. But I'm just going to go through and I can create this. Okay, so I've deployed an app into an app service plan. So I've got my Linux app service plan. In here is the application. Now I've actually gone through, and I did this while the system was running and we clipped it out, but I can see that I've got an application that I've deployed. That application, in this case, the application is test staging slots, and I've got the 5 environments of dev, QA, staging, test, and production. So I've got the same application running across the different deployment slots that I'm working with. So if I take a look at the application, you can now see I'm coming into the app service, and the app service, is what we're talking about, has the app service name, what is its URL that it can connect to, and I can now get into the environment variables and the configuration features. It's in here, what I was showing you, you now have the capability to have app settings and connection string settings that you can configure on a per app basis and then have that deployed to the various deployment slots that you're working through as the application moves from, say, dev to test to QA to staging. So all of this can now be done, as opposed to controlling them very tightly in the application. I can have them externally in config files or as capabilities of the environment that you're working with to pass these values into your application to make sure that the appropriate certificates, identities, and connection strings and app settings are going to be used as it moves through this. We're also going to be covering this in more detail later on when we get into configuration settings and using automation to provide some of that standardization and control. So what we've shown you is the deployment of an application, and in this case, an app service, into an app service plan creates the construct. It's still not even deploying the application to that app service in the app service plan, but we now saw that at the app service that you've deployed, we had this capability to get into the settings of the app, in this case, the web app, that would then have these configuration values that you could pass to the application if there was deployment slots as it existed in those different deployment slots. I've shown you previously as well that you can interact through the graphical interfaces, which we're doing in the exercises, or programmatically, and that's typically the best way to work with this. Now, again, we're not trying to teach you how to program this, but you can now, we've got documentation that will show you how you could go through and manage these either in initial deployments using templates to deploy, or you can use bulk editing to go through to manage and deploy configuration settings. Some of the things that you can control using these settings, you're taking a look at the list here, the platform settings from WebSockets, always on, HTTP versions you want to work with. We've got the SDKs for the stack settings that you have. We've got debugging capabilities, incoming client certificates, those connection strings that you're working with are a wide variety of the general settings that you're going to be able to control using this feature. We also have that underlying capability of either a Windows or a Linux platform. And then you can also have that containerized app environment, which we're going to cover in a future recording. But you now have that path setting that you have for those different environments, depending on the underlying infrastructure that you picked when I deployed the web app to that app service plan that supported that operating system. In the last module for this entire course, we're going to take a look at diagnostics and troubleshooting. And you're going to be able to now report a lot of the information, whether it be from the Windows environment, because remember, the Windows operating system as well as the Linux operating systems are being managed by Microsoft. You don't have access to those log files. But if there's pertinent information that would exist in that environment that you need that information to do your diagnostics or troubleshooting, you can actually bubble that information up and extract that information for your specific web app or application that you're working with to get that information so you could have that diagnostics information for your troubleshooting. We've mentioned that the certificates now can be managed as well as identity management. You're seeing a full list of the certificates in the app services. Remember, the app services are a subset that run inside of the app service plan, and we saw that in the configuration settings that you could manage all of those capabilities. Now we're going to take a look at the knowledge check for this module. Question number 1, which app configuration settings category is used to set the language and SDK version? The general settings is used to configure stack, platform, debugging, and the incoming client information. Question number 2, what type of diagnostic logging is supported on a Linux platform? And that's the application and deployment logging and are supported under that Linux platform. So we've shown you in this recording the ability to now create an app service inside of an app service plan. If that app service plan feature or pricing tier allows for things like deployment slots, they then become available to the app or apps that are deployed inside of that app service plan. We saw that we could have a number of deployment slots that you now had the control to be able to have setting values, configuration, connection strings, certificate values that could be changed as you move through the CI/CD pipeline that might move your code from the development stage throughout to maybe production that you're working with. So a great way to provide for automation in the deployment of your application using an app service plan and the app services within that plan itself. Thank you for joining me in this recording. I look forward to seeing you in a future recording as we go through developing applications using Azure services.